And we're good. Welcome, everyone, to episode 3 of the Echelon Files. With today, the guest that has taken me the longest to get on the show due to technical difficulties, Stefanie MacWilliams of Lone Conservative and Right Millennial.
Hey, how are you? What's up? That's kind of my fault. This has been a journey for me to actually come on this show. I think we've had to cancel twice for various stupid reasons, or he double booking or something. But it's okay. We're here. We made it in.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. And I finally found a look for the show. I normally the first episode I think I just wore this, but hey, this. So yeah.
Gotta look fancy. I tried to do a hairstyle, so feel special. I tried to look a little less like my Periscope attire, but you'll get used to it.
Yeah. All right. So first question, how'd you get into writing and doing sort of things you do at Lone Conservative and at Right Millennial?
Well, I've been writing about politics for about a little over a year now, actually. I was on Twitter a lot. I was kind of not really a political account, but I started writing about politics on Twitter, and I was just kind of like, I want to have a bit more time to write a little longer and get a little more into what I'm thinking. So I kind of started just looking around for random alternative media sites to write maybe guest pieces for or something like that. I ended up on a site called planetfreewill.com, and I kind of just got hired there as a straight reporter. So I would just write reports all day basically. Then I started writing the occasional commentary piece, and my actual kind of main home base is actually at Halsey News. My business partner, Halsey English, found one of my commentary pieces and really liked them. And he was like, oh, I'm launching a new site. I need content. I will give you $20 an article. And I was like, awesome. I have no money. That'd be great. So I started writing commentary pieces, and somehow we just kind of developed a friendship and realized we worked really well together. And I kind of came on board as co-owner of that. So Right Millennial is kind of a spin-off of that as well. And I also write occasionally at Lone Conservative and at Future Female Leader as well. But I don't dedicate as much time to those. I'm just pretty busy with my my show and my Periscopes and my Twitter and my writing. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I forgot about Halsey News. Yeah,
it's all good. It's all good. It's happened sometimes, but I only have this on the wall to remind you. So, But yeah, I co-own there as well, and then Right Millennial is my YouTube show, which I do. I think I'm on episode 29 or something, which is crazy. Since I've been doing it since May, and I've just had the opportunity to talk to so many guests, and it's really, really cool. But I'm always happy to get on somewhere else and get to chat with somebody new and meet some new people. It's always a fun time.
Yeah, same here. I kind of a similar situation to you with USNN. I had worked with the editor-in-chief James at a previous publication, and we just got along really well. And that kind of ended. And then a couple months later, he started up USNN, and I was itching to get back to writing because publication Rock Media was the first time I'd ever been published on a site. So I was like, I want to do that again. And so I just sent him a new piece, and I got up there, and I'm one of now the, I guess, top contributors. I don't know. But yeah, and then I got into doing this through watching Dave Rubin interviews and just being like, I just want to do this for an hour or two. Yeah.
I think we have a lot in common on that. For sure. I just really wanted to write, and it's kind of a natural just need to kind of think about things and to kind of join the conversation, I guess, more than I was never really trying to be authoritative on anything. I was more just interested in joining the conversation, and now I've kind of developed some more areas of interest where I know a little more, and then there's a lot of things I'm really still learning about, and it's a lot of fun. And then my show is kind of the same thing. I've been a huge fan of Dave Rubin for probably at least a year, probably longer than that, and just other people like him that he definitely really is good with the whole talk show genre on the internet, right? So I really wanted to do something similar, and I think it's really interesting to see in the new media space right now just how much opportunity there is, and how much, as long as you're willing to work hard and know your stuff and engage with people, that you can really get out there. And it takes time, but yeah, I'm happy with where I'm at right now. I'm getting there.
Yeah, same here. Also, another thing I noticed, I don't know if this is similar for you when you started Right Millennial, I was nervous about getting guests on the show. Because in my first 2 episodes, I've had Dire Wolf, who has a pretty big following, and then Bearing, who has a massive following.
I haven't interviewed either. I know they both are, though.
Yeah, it's I sent him an email, I think a couple days later, he said, "Sure, when?" I was like, "No, you're pulling my leg."
Really? Right.
Yeah, but he's a good guy, and yeah, Direwolf's great too. I was just surprised that me with like no following was able to get these two people 1,000 times bigger followings than me on the show. So yeah.
I'm a big fan of just asking, and the worst they can say is no. I definitely have gotten some pretty big guests. I have Roaming Millennial on tomorrow. I had some black guys, my pilot episode guest. I've had just quite a few like decently known people if I look at my actual catalog, and then I also have like a large number of people that are just kind of more people that I know, or people that like I focus a lot more on, I think, having good conversations is what will keep people coming back. However, that said, I think you do need to kind of, if you start with some of those big name guests, that can sometimes be the kind of thing that gets people to actually watch in the first place. So I think you have to kind of balance it out. But I'm kind of in the same boat. I just kind of winged it, and I was like, okay, who can I ask? And then we'll do the show. And it helps kind of being part of a little bit more of a community at Halsey News, and like a lot of people, I know a lot of people. Yeah, I've also had Peach Bailey. I was just looking at people I've had on because I'm totally blanking on some. Oh, I've had Kaya Jones. I've had Joy Villa. How did I forget them? Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, some people I'm like, I don't know why you decided to be on my show, but
Yeah.
it's really cool. And I think when you just are willing to have a conversation, I think a lot of people are actually really like, unlike in like the mainstream media where it's all just about publicity and everything is about the audience. I think people in this kind of space, even if, like you said, they see you and you have no followers, they might just be willing to like have a conversation, right? And like further the conversation, which I think is so much fun to be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah. I also just think I get in touch with a lot of them because I'm fans of their content, and and I just noticed that a lot of the interviews done on the alternative space are more conversational rather than, oh, you have 5 minutes to give every political position you have, go.
Right.
And then yeah, and then the host and the other guests are going to come at you at the same time, and that kind of goes into a similar question. Why do you think that mainstream media's portrayal of people like us, classical liberals, conservatives,
Nazis, Hitler?
oh yeah, I'm friends with Goebbels, so
yeah, I'm having my evil Zionist friend on tonight, so so I don't know how I'm a Nazi, but
oh yeah, like yeah, I mean I'm black, so they don't want me.
No, I'm shit out of luck. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's silly, but it really is a very deep problem, I think, when my own family, like my sisters and mother, absolutely hate my views. They think that I'm like, extremist and all this stuff. And it's just funny that people are so poisoned against anything to the right of Bernie Sanders that, that you must be just this like horrible fascist or something. And I find it really weird because it's even people who've known me my entire life are now coming to me like, you hate all Muslims, you want all Muslims to die. And I was like, what? Like, when have I ever said that? Like, why don't you actually listen? Maybe ask me what I believe and I will explain to you why. I spend all day talking about this stuff with hundreds, if not thousands of people. Like, I am fine with being questioned and, being challenged all the time.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. My family is perfectly fine with what I do.
Good.
I think it's because they're a bit. Yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, they're a bit closer to me. But it's an odd thing, It's because from what I can tell, and maybe I'm nuts, but I don't want Jews dead. I'm not a Nazi. I don't hate people for their religion, and its practices. I don't hate people for their race. I don't hate people where they have a penis or vagina between their legs. All I want to do is talk. That's all I want to do. And it's just, yeah.
I think too, well, I think my family, I mean, not to excuse them, but it's more that my father I don't really include in this because he's a liberal for sure, definitely progressive, but he's very reasonable and he's willing to talk. Like I can sit down with him and talk about absolutely any topic, and he's not going to treat me like a bad person for raising the question. Like we've talked about every controversial thing you could humanly think of, even stuff that would be controversial within our space, you know. But my mom and sisters, though, I mean, I've also had media attacks on me, which, you know, it's pretty sad that people who've known me my entire life believed what the media said about me instead of asking me and giving me the benefit of the doubt. But that is something that I have personally faced in this industry on a couple of occasions. So you have to be, but, you know, at the end of the day, I really don't fear my beliefs. I really am not ashamed of my beliefs at all. I think if people actually would listen to what I have to say, they'd find I'm pretty much like a pretty normal person with pretty normal views.
Yeah. Same here, but it's, yeah. Speaking of your beliefs, how did you get to your particular political worldview, considering different from seem to be very different from your family?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I was definitely raised on the left. I live in Canada as well, so I'm a Canadian. Very liberal area, liberal country in general. Everybody here is on the left, like our conservatives are like centrist Democrats at most. But it's kind of how I was raised in that whole thing, and I kind of took a lot of it as truth. And I think the part that kind of shook me out of it a little bit was that despite being very, what I'd say pretty much a liberal progressive, my father is also very religious. So he had a couple of beliefs that were very, very, very aligned with conservatives, like being pro-life and thinking feminism sucks. And then as I became a young adult, it was feminism that kind of shook me to kind of move away from leftism in general, because I really looked into it and I was just was like, wait a minute, this does not represent anything about my life. I have never felt discriminated against for being a woman. I've never felt like I live in fear of rapists around every tree as a woman. I've never felt like, my thoughts aren't valued because I'm a woman. And that kind of, once, I feel like a lot of this seems to be a pretty common story for people I've spoken to, but a lot of the time, like one thing kind of cracks, and then the whole tower of your beliefs just kind of crumble away. And then definitely in the past couple of years, I've come to a lot more in general to consider myself a conservative, where before I was kind of just like, I don't know, I hate everyone kind of thing. So it's been an evolution, and I'm sure I will continue as I learn.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I guess for me it was not so much something that cracked my belief, but just being introduced to it. Because I got into it through watching a lot of anti-SJW content on YouTube from people like the Satirician, Sargon of Akkad, and just I emailed him. He hasn't gotten back to me yet. Where are you, Carl?
Me too.
Where are you?
Carl. We're gonna send like needles to your house, like that one time. Just kidding, or whatever it was that gamer anti-gamer got real mad. Anyway, sorry. Continue. I saw fangirling over Sargon. Like,
yeah, but yeah, and it came from more of the place of these people, and the people that I'm disagreeing with don't really have any defense for their position. Mm-hmm. And I was always taught to be able to back up what you say. So I guess that's where it came from, just sort of a realization of things. Also, I guess that the attack in, I forget, was that New Year's Eve attack in Germany. I forget.
The rape thing, or
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was fun. I remember the Sargon's video about that. Like, it was yesterday, and the same stupidity is probably still going on.
Oh, yeah.
But no, it's those little things, right? Because even, like you said, that's actually a good point, that a lot of times it's just being introduced to it, right? Like, I had never really heard a lot of the kind of other side, especially when it comes to things like the kind of more, economic or government, not even necessarily economics, but the kind of government structure part about conservatism I'd never really heard about. But fortunately, I was homeschooled my whole life. And the one thing that I've learned, my dad definitely really taught me how to like question things and think for myself. And so maybe it backfired on him a little bit, because now I'm just like, oh, great, your daughter's been in the paper as like a crazy right-wing extremist or whatever. But, that's what happens when you are an independent thinker. You kind of maybe think things that are not exactly what your parents intended for you to do. But yeah. I'm all good with it.
Around someday. hopefully. And just
Yeah.
feel, yeah, even if it's like that's what I hope for everybody. Come around to the point, I don't want you agreeing with me. I just want you to just be able to listen and not think that I am some kind of horrible human being. Unless I am a horrible human being, which then feel free.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I want to just be able to talk. I'm really not asking people to be, like you said, like to agree with me even necessarily. I have plenty of friends, even, who I would like, people who write for me, like close friends and who don't agree with me at all on tons of stuff, but we don't like dislike each other for a beliefs or, straight up want to, shut down the other's speech because of it. And like, that's kind of the core thing. And that's why there's a kind of underlying trend with everything that I'm doing that I really have to harken back to free speech being very important to me, especially as somebody who lives in Canada who doesn't really have true freedom of speech like the United States does. And it's always something that I'm kind of reminding people of, like, you know what, like you guys need to remember how lucky you are that you have a constitutional right to freedom of expression that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. And if you guys fuck it up, then, there's nowhere else left, right? Where are you going to go?
Yeah.
Like here, theoretically, I mean, it's not like they do this often, but you can be criminalized for hate speech here. There's all sorts of stuff that, it's very sketchy. And I like to hope that I will never be relevant enough that they'll care or try to stop me from doing anything I'm doing. But it's always kind of in the back of my mind that, I lack that freedom, and to see other people in the United States not care about it, kind of a pet peeve.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree with you there, especially living here and understanding what it means.
Mm-hmm.
But funny enough, you saying that recently, my editor-in-chief, James, he got caught at his job watching my Bearing interview. He got flagged as hate charged content almost immediately. He almost got caught by HR.
Oh God, that's so stupid. He's in Britain, right? He's even worse off than I am.
Yeah, it's like I'm talking to a cartoon bear. That's hateful.
So evil, and so well. This whole thing, and this is like, and an issue that I always get into it with my dad. Always saying how he's like, oh, you can't say anything you want, blah blah blah. I'm like, what? Who do you want to define hate speech for you? You're religious. Do you want it to be hate speech for you to say that you think that, I don't know, whatever religious belief, that abortion's wrong? Like, do you want that to be hate speech? Because if it's defined by people like Justin Trudeau, I don't think either of us want to live in a world where that's, what hate speech is. So I oppose the idea entirely. And you also can, like, I can fully dislike something being said and still think the person can say it, right? I don't particularly appreciate people saying, oh, I wish all Muslims were dead. Like, I totally call out that rhetoric whenever I see it because I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
But I also don't think it's right that, in place, especially a place like Britain, that saying that Islam is evil and it has no place in the 21st century, that's considered somehow, inciting religious hatred or whatever nonsense, So obviously I'm very anti-Islam. Can you tell? Yeah. I'm a bit known for that one, but
yeah. I still think people should have the right to when it comes to Islam, I still believe people have the right to practice it whatever they want. I just don't agree. I just state that I don't agree with the practices. Same way they hopefully respect my right to believe in my God, but probably don't agree with my practices.
It's not so much that I'm not one of those people that will say like ban Islam, because I don't think it's not a tenable solution, right? Because as soon as you start doing things like that, you will start eroding the constitutional rights. And I've actually kind of in the past questioned that in myself, right? Like where I would draw the line, and I've written about this publicly. But I do think you have to fall on the end of standing for the country that you believe in, not just being reactionary to ideologies that might cause a problem. But that said, I do think that people have every right to, first of all, you cannot practice your religion in any way that impedes on the rights of others. So, you can't come here and, cut your daughter's vagina. You can't come here and marry a 7-year-old. You can't come here and have multiple wives. Those things are not part of the law in the United States. So you can't do them. Sorry. If you want to do that, you can go to a country where you rule and you can do that there. So things like that, I agree with you, though, in general, that if people are willing to, like you said, do their, if you want to pray 5 times a day, I don't care. If you want to, do things that are outside of the law, I do care. And even then, I absolutely will harshly criticize those elements that are very dangerous. And every other religion is open to criticism of the most harsh variety. I was raised Christian all my life. People say just disgusting things about, like, you know, people will say absolutely anything but any other religion. Yet when it comes to Islam, if I say Islam teaches terrorism, which is obviously true if you actually know anything about Islam, that is such a terrible, impossible thing to say. And I'm like, yet nobody would have a problem with saying that, I don't know, the Catholics, have priests that molest kids, like people would say that and they wouldn't care. It's really telling the self-censorship we engage in when it comes to that topic. And I refuse.
Yeah. Yeah. Sad world.
Worms with that. Yeah. No, it's a tough topic, and again, you don't ever want to approach things with, hatefulness and with, to me, I really, even mentally in my own, life and how I do things, you always have to, take ideologies and then take people, and there are good people within bad ideas, but, it's the ideas themselves that have to be challenged, right? So I don't, that's why I don't really say things like that, like kick all Muslims out of America and, ban Islam and burn mosques and all that. I don't buy into any of that, because I don't want to, do those things, and I don't think they're right. But on the other hand, I'm not afraid to say the other side of it. The side attacking the ideas, go for it, because they need to be attacked a lot more harshly than they have been.
Yeah. And plus, if you do go into that rhetoric of saying kick them all out, you're just feeding into their victim complex. They say, oh, Islam is the most persecuted religion. Like, you're just feeding into that by saying get back out. It's like, stay if you want.
That said, though, I have zero problem with limiting Islamic immigration, because countries don't have to invite anyone in for any reason. There is no constitutional right to immigrate to the United States. If you are a danger to the country in any way, the country has every moral and legal right to bar you from entry. Will I say we must ban everyone who's a Muslim across the world? No. But I think it's very prudent to, for example, say a country like Syria, which is known for, unfortunately, huge number of ISIS terrorists, ISIS, Islamic State controlled areas, things like that. Like, it's very reasonable to say we are going to very much limit the asylum applications we take, and we're going to make sure that the people that are coming are people that we can verify, right? I mean, just 2 days ago, we had a guy, as a Somalian refugee, come to Canada in 2015. He was known to police as an extremist. 3 guesses to what kind of extremist he was. And he, he stabbed people and tried to drive over other people. And it's like, these are the reasons that people are frustrated with refugees, not because of, the nice woman and her kids. The problem is that continually it slips through the cracks because they don't know who these people are. And it's unfortunate for the people that legitimately they don't know who they are and they're in a shit situation. I empathize, but you cannot put the safety of your own country at risk, in order to virtue signal and to, do a favor to people that don't have a record, right? A lot of these people might not even have like a passport. It's a difficult thing. But once they're here, I mean, if you're a citizen, I'm going to protect your rights as a citizen. Yeah.
And I think on top of that, the other group that people get really annoyed with refugees, besides the people who commit the criminal acts and the terrorists, are the economic migrants who aren't really in any bad scrape, but come here and take economic opportunity away from the people who already live here.
It's a huge problem, and I don't like the conflation of, I really hate this thing that the left does, where they like take some, they'll lump in people genuinely fleeing ISIS states in Syria, right? Like people that are fleeing cities that have been overrun by ISIS, and they'll conflate that with some guy coming from Somalia and making his way into Europe, because he doesn't want to live in shithole Somalia, which I get, but you're not the same as somebody that is being, you're not being killed for being where you are. You're not a refugee, you're an economic migrant, and we still need to have law and order. Like, I'm actually reading right now, I don't know if you're aware of Douglas Murray. Probably. He's pretty. Yeah, he's a really. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I think I started checking out the interview he did with Dave Rubin.
he is so good. Highly recommend. I watch him like religiously. Ironically enough, religiously. I'm reading his book right now. It's called The Strange Death of Europe. It's so good. It's about basically the migrant crisis and the lead up to the migrant crisis and how it's been mishandled, particularly by Angela Merkel and other people, and basically their insane refugee policies that they have throughout Europe and how the problems that it's causing. And it's just incredible. Like, and I consider myself decently well educated on this, and I just could not believe what I was reading about basically just how out of hand it is and how they literally at this point there's so little they can do because you have people literally pouring in thousands a day into tiny islands like off the coast of Greece. Like, you know what I mean? This is once you start having these people incentivized to come, it's not so easy to say F you, drown, right? Like, what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah. Speaking of ideological positions, I don't know if you'd agree with this, and this is kind of goes to one of the questions: the emerging sense of identity politics on the right. Because whether it's that play incident with Rebel Media, which Mr. Jack Posobiec, I'm trying to get him on the show, called a lot of people Goebbels, which honestly I didn't know that was the Nazi propaganda. Yeah.
No, that is one of the dumbest things I've seen this year, and that's saying something in this stupid year we've had. I wrote about it. I took a ton of heat for it, and now a lot of people are like, wait, Laura Loomer really is an idiot. No, they're a bunch of, attention-seeking children who have no principles to speak of whatsoever, who literally go to a march with signs saying, end hate speech, and, it's a joke. You don't have, and to see these people that are so-called rational people like Stefan Molyneux defending this, like, no, you don't have a right to run on stage at someone else's play that people paid to see and screech about Kathy Griffin holding a toy Trump head. You just don't. Get over it. There are better ways to get your ends across, and I really was very frustrated with many on our side when that whole thing took place. Obviously, I have pretty strong opinions on it. I don't really care if people want to get mad at me for it. It's ridiculous. And I don't tolerate it from the left, rightly so, and I'm not going to tolerate it from the right. Freedom of speech does not mean that you get to shut down speech you don't like. That defies the whole point. Everyone is for freedom of speech for things they like.
Yeah, but I will give a slow clap to the left. Because when they did this with Obama, y'all didn't do nothing. Y'all just let it happen. So you get one, you get one, lefties. You get one.
One occasional cookie.
Yeah, it's like no one loses it when it's a black guy, but the second you kill a 6-foot orange dude, people lose their minds.
Menace. It's also kind of overblown in my opinion. Like, it's obviously not a credible threat. Kathy Griffin is clearly not intending to be the president. That said, I do think, for example, a situation like Madonna saying, I've thought often about blowing up the White House and things like that. I'm not opposed to the Secret Service knocking at her door, even if just to serve a purpose of saying, look, just because you're a celebrity, you don't, nobody else will be able to say that about the president without, people really questioning your motives. And obviously Madonna isn't going to blow up the White House, but the accountability I'm fine with. But that said, I have no interest in, locking these people up for things like this. It's silly. I think it's gross. I really don't like if the story is true about Barron Trump seeing that and thinking it was real. I think that is really, it's a gross, vile thing to do. Kathy Griffin is an unfunny old hag. She's awful, but I don't really think that this constitutes the sort of apocalyptic
media outrage
where we need to stop people and stop political violence against the right and jump on stage at plays and about everything. It's like, come on guys, let's be a little more mature and have an actual discussion.
Yeah, and that seems also be the thing with reacting to the alt-right, because Reason TV recently put out a video that was like the most SJW thing I've seen in a while. Lauren Southern responded to it. It is one of the most SJW things I've seen in a while. And then you have the whole Ezra Levant, Kyle and Robinson situation, which was a blow. And then ironically, and this is a question I have for Mr. Ezra Levant. $13,000 for some of yours to run on a stage and infringe on free speech, but you will fire Faith Goldy for covering Charlottesville. Where is your logic, man?
Yeah, I think it was a strange business decision. Now, I don't agree with, Faith Goldie going on that podcast and stuff. I also think it was just dumb to be there. I'm so sick of people on the right going to these clearly dangerous events where it's clearly going to be a problem. And then, unfortunately something terrible happens and they're caught up in it. I just think it's stupid, especially for like little 100-pound women like Faith Goldie. Like, what are you doing? Why don't you, send one of the other guys there that isn't going to get friggin' killed? But that aside, it's very weird to me that he chose that, like, as you said, chose that to get mad over. Like, he has no problem with Laura Loomer's stupid stunts, yet she does that. I don't know. It's weird. I think there's more to it than that, I'm guessing, because it's clear that the rebel is in trouble. I mean, who do they have left at this point? Like, they've lost literally all of their well-known people.
Yeah.
Only
I
lost
think so.
and he's
I think they still got Tommy and
Tommy too.
Well, though I will admit, Laura Loomer's Twitter is funny because she recently posted this picture when she apparently went to one of Hillary Clinton's book signings.
Yeah,
For that.
She blocked me, so I'm not a fan of her, and I've told her so to her face, and she blocked me. So I questioned. All I did was question what she did with all of this money, and she didn't like that much, and she blocked me. But the whole thing with that, the Hillary Clinton things, like, these stunts are funny, but like, they don't, like, to pretend that this takes like some bravery or something is so annoying to me. Like, literally a trained monkey could do what Laura Loomer has done in her journalism career, and it's kind of annoying to me that everybody is like acting like she's some hero to the right, and I'm like, is anyone going to remember you next year? Like, whatever. I don't like her.
Yeah.
Her stunts are very annoying. And there's a lot of people like this, though. So it's not just her. This everybody encouraging this is also annoying. The Rebel doing it's annoying. Jack Posobiec doing it is annoying. He's also blocked. They're everywhere. I get blocked by everyone. I don't know what I've done.
Yeah. And when it comes to the whole Faith Gold situation, I have no problem with her going to the Daily Stormer podcast. I would gladly have someone on the show from there, because to me, the only way you can show that the real white power crazies is to talk to them, interact with them, and show that, yes, this is what they believe. This is not like South Park, where you visually represent Scientology.
I agree. The only difference, and this is where I've actually criticized a lot of people that associate with the alt-right, is I have zero problem talking to people that I disagree with, even awful people. I have no problem with Faith Goldie talking to them. What I have a problem with is when they pander to them. People like Faith Goldie do not actually say, I don't agree with this. They just go, and then when people call them out on it, they say, oh, well, I was just seeing what they were saying. It's like, if I was going to that situation, I would push back on a couple things. I wouldn't be joking around with the actual white supremacists. I'd be saying, yeah, I'm gonna be nice to you and be civil and have a discussion, but I'm gonna like actually question some of what you're saying. That said, I don't necessarily, I'm not gonna like, place motive on Faith. I don't know what her beliefs are on that. I don't think she's a white supremacist. I just think that she didn't handle it particularly well, and I'm not that surprised that Ezra was kind of like, okay, this really looks bad on us when you're going and like, joining this thing that you knew was a, like you said, like a Daily Stormer. And Daily Stormer also, I mean, this is very different in my opinion than talking to somebody at like altright.com or something. I disagree with those guys just as much, but the Daily Stormer is just blatantly, anti-intellectual, hateful, attention-seeking. They're not even trying to participate in the conversation. They're just nut jobs. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of like, I don't know. People like that I kind of wish would be a little bit more ignored, but they keep getting, and they keep ending up in the news because of things like GoDaddy banning their domain names and Andrew Anglin saying whatever he said about that poor woman that was mowed over in Charlottesville. I don't know. They're dicks. That's my opinion on the Daily Stormer. But I get what you're saying. I think it's important to talk to different groups. I mean, I have no problem speaking to really whoever. But I don't like when I see people that know. The thing is that I do feel, I don't know, I can't say specifically about Faith, but I've seen this a lot from people, that people know that if they blatantly attack the alt-right, they will take a lot of heat for it. And I know this because I blatantly attack the alt-right and I take a lot of heat for it. It's much easier to sit in the middle, right, where you never actually agree, but you go along with them in everything they do. And then as soon as somebody, who is against it calls you out on it, then you just say, oh, I'm just there as a journalist. I never agreed with this. It's like, okay, pick a side. I'd have a lot more, respect if you just say what you believe. I have a lot more respect for people who are actually in the alt-right who at least admit who they are.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a rant.
Yeah, because it takes more guts to be like to be, here's what I believe. I'm not changing that, though I'm willing to have a discussion. That to me, regardless of what you believe, whether you're the biggest Islamist out there,
Yeah.
the most crazy feminist, the most, like, you have a picture of Adolf Hitler on your ceiling and you jerk off to it at night, kind of Nazi.
Be honest, yeah.
I'll have a little bit of respect for you. I will have a decent amount of respect for you because you at least stand by what you are saying.
Mm-hmm.
And now if this ever gets like, if this gets like a ton of views, there's gonna be a lot of like, because since YouTube added that whole drawing thing, there's literally gonna be someone drawing someone masturbating to a picture of Adolf.
Nice video Hitler, me yelling at Laura Loomer, but it's okay. She won't care because she won't.
Oh yeah.
No, sometimes I just have to let my annoyance out at certain things, and that, people always accuse me of that. They're always like, "Oh, you punch right," and da da da. And I'm just kind of like, the left are easy pickings on so many topics. Like, I have more interest in punching right because I feel like there's a lot more intellectual diversity and a lot more interesting conversations to have, and I care more about my own side. I don't really care about the left's internal war over whether transgender feminist atheists are more important than Muslim black supremacists. They can have their own stupid fight over there. I'm here, like, I want to actually kind of come to some ideas on the right.
Yeah. Also, it's the art. I have to agree with you there, and the disagreements I have with some people on the right are a lot more interesting to me than me saying, "No, the wage gap is not real. Here's why." I'm done. Five seconds. Like Gavin McInnes, he doesn't like video games.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you gotta respect him because he will say something that is so unpopular, but like 80% of his followers are gonna be like, "What the hell, Gavin?" And he will say it because he doesn't care.
Yeah, and if he ever wants to come on the show, I will debate him in an NCR Ranger uniform and defend my hobby. And Miley Yiannopoulos. Yeah, Miley Yiannopoulos does not like anime. I will gladly dress up like some random anime character and debate Milo. I will gladly do that.
Milo he's too fancy these days, and now he's married apparently, so.
Oh yeah, I saw the pictures.
I saw that on Instagram and I was like, I remember the days of Milo saying that he thinks it's best he's got married.
I'm guessing he found his mate. Like, but think about it. This guy's apparently important enough to him to where Reddit wouldn't reveal him, and he requested that.
I didn't know that.
So this guy, yeah, they actually had his identity, but Milo was like, "Hey guys, like, this is my fiance." Yeah, and think of that. When I saw that, I was like, "Wow, you must really love this guy." Mazel tov.
Well, yeah, considering Milo is like the most publicity person ever, like, did we ever find out who it is, or is it still just like mystery? I
don't know. No one knows. He's the biggest mystery since GB Cooper.
That's crazy. Like, how is no one gonna find out who he is? Like, someone's gonna see Milo at the airport or something, like kissing his husband, and people are gonna be like,
yeah. I have to imagine it's like. Did you ever watch Justice League Unlimited? No,
I'm more like that. Sorry.
That's comic books, but still.
I know.
And it's this character called Q, and he has like this mask on his face where you can't see his face. It's like a blank face. I have to imagine the set, like, that's gonna happen, and we're gonna find Milo, the guy with just that Q mask. Yeah, maybe. Black.
One of those like those horrible like suits that are like a long stocking and like one color. That's how I'm picturing Milo's husband. I don't know. I have to say they had a pretty nice wedding. I like the clothes.
It's classy.
It was very classy for like a gay Milo wedding. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, like Ivana Wall like singing the national anthem, but it didn't look like there was any of that. It looked pretty classic and tasteful. I kind of
I think I think he saved that all for the I believe it was the launch party of his book, because they were like dancing little people.
Yeah,
they were. Yeah, those pictures are. I want someone to make a movie out of those pictures. Like, show me what was going on.
I haven't even seen it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow Milo so much anymore. Like, I had followed him since like Gamergate. Like, I'm actually pretty sure I'm one of the 5,000 friends on Facebook because I've been following him for so long. And like, I don't know. I feel like I used to like really like a lot of stuff he was writing, and you know that he was kind of saying stuff, but then it kind of like, I don't know, some of it got played out. I don't dislike him. I'm just kind of like, his time is like passing, I think, as unfortunate as it probably is for him. But I mean, I'm sure he doesn't care. He's got tons of money and success, and he's probably still gonna make money off book sales. So
Yeah, and he's still doing Troll Academy, so he's probably gonna. Yeah, I'm probably in the same boat, but for a different reason.
yeah,
It's because I'm aware of the writings he did before he joined, I guess, our side, and it's very interesting. And I think there's an audio clip out there of him talking one of his pieces about, I think it was censorship or something.
mm-hmm.
And it was like, it was the oddest. Yeah, that was the oddest thing. It was like, Milo, please tell me this is faked. Tell me this is an impersonator. But I was like, okay, I have to have respect for you, man. You went back in there, and you're back there, and now you're here. It's like a Drake song.
Yeah, I think people can change their, you know, their views. I know I definitely have. I think that what bothers me is when people hide their previous views, you know, not so much when they change them. Like, you know, if people were to find my stupid shit from 5 years ago, they would find something very different. But I don't really care. I don't really hide it. I don't want to come across like this person who's, oh, I've always been a conservative. I've always, you know, thought this way, like, because I haven't, right? And I try to be, even stuff I've changed positions on in the past 6 months, I want to be like open and upfront about it, because I think that's compelling to people over at the end of the day, that, you know, I'm not trying to hide anything or act like I am this, you know, nobody wakes up and has their perfect set of ideologies like laid out in front of them. That's not how life is. You learn and you change your mind, and you always are going to have that niggling thing that like separates you from your own side.
Yeah. I thought I was pretty close to that, because before this I was apolitical. I didn't care. And when I got into it, I had my thought pattern. I thought it was right out the gate, but then, like you said, there's that one little thing or thing here, thing that tightened.
It starts like getting down to you. And I'm definitely the sort of person, to an almost annoying level, where I always want to know what I think about everything. So if there's something that I don't have a like solid position on, I feel very like uncomfortable. Like I always want to know what I think about everything. So that's something that's going to bother me probably for the rest of my life, because as soon as I think I've got it all figured out, some new thing's going to happen, or I'm going to change my mind about some old thing, and I'd be like, oh my God, my brain, I need to like recalculate everything I believe. But, you know, it just, I think the main thing is to be curious and to keep learning, because so many people are like apolitical, like you said, and they just don't care. And then almost worse than apolitical is that then they go and, you know, proselytize their stupidity to the people who are actually political, who actually know what they're talking about. So that's where my sisters would be. They don't know anything about politics at all. And then, you know, an election comes around, they're like, we have to vote for Justin Trudeau to stop the Nazis or whatever. And I'm like, okay.
I have to ask a question. Is the sole reason he won is because he's I'm straight, but I'll say he's a decent looking guy. It's like, I feel like I have to win.
This is a significant portion of his voter are literally women who think he's good looking. You know what? If I had never heard him open his mouth, I'd probably agree. But like, even now, he's But besides my taste in it, he's too skinny and he has the gayest voice I've ever heard. So not gay like homosexual, just gay like awful. And it's just so, you know, like, and he says every set, like, and I'm bad with saying like every time I watch myself on live anything, I'm like, oh my God, stop saying but literally he's like, we have to fight in the Middle East, ISIS, and I'm just like, spit it out. I don't know how he won. There's no way. I really would be absolutely shocked if he were to win again in 2019. Hopefully not. His comments about, you know, his statement about the Edmonton terrorist attack a couple days ago pissed me off. I'm not happy with that man right now.
Yeah, though I think he's a similar station to Milo, in which that's a change. Because if you watch videos, I think it was a video of him out there when he was like 17, and he's not saying and he sounds very confident in his beliefs.
Not dumber.
Yeah, and it's just, he sounds like he actually, like, he doesn't sound like he does now. He's not, like, he's asked the question, and his chest is out. He's like, I'm proud of what I believe. It's like
politician, I guess. I'm guessing now it's very, you know, he knows every time that the camera's on him, he has to really deliver the liberal agenda. You know, it's not. I don't know how authentic he is. It doesn't really strike me as he can possibly believe the nonsense he's saying half the time.
I think he's just trying to keep a gun away from his head because he's already been called a white supremacist, even though he's I think one of the biggest Black Lives Matter supporters ever.
He's so this idea that he's a white supremacist to Canadian Black Lives Matter supporters is just, it's really telling. Like, and these people don't realize this, that like the left will, like, you know, you might be eaten last, but you're still gonna be eaten. Like, you can't appease these people with literally anything. I just don't care. They can call me a racist all day. I don't care. I know who I am. I'm not gonna be intimidated by, you know, you're racist, you hate Muslims, you whatever it is. I just am like, you know, you need to be confident in your own convictions, and maybe just do that. You might not.
I think he just needs a friend. Also, I'm glad I was born the way I am because I have complete coverage on the racist bit.
There you go. The bonus. Well, but maybe it's, you know, because people, you know, being lumped in with the shitty parts of the Black community.
Yeah. I have a whole piece in the workshop about it, because especially in the United States, I don't know if it's similar for Canada, but Lyndon B. Johnson, that man has done more to the Black community than any gang could ever do.
No, I totally agree with you. I've read up, you know, Democrats have in general not been so kind, but it's not.
It's not good. It's a whole thought piece on what the Black community, where the Black community would be if Lyndon B. Johnson hadn't tried to do his great society. And I have to imagine we'd in a much better place.
I agree. There's a lot that, you know, could be done. And I very much criticize the sort of, oh, the only reason the Black community suck is because they're Black. I'm a genius. The alt-right. But I also criticize the whole, what do you mean the Black community has problems? More white people are in jail. And I'm like, okay, but no, that's not actually true, because you're, you know, like, you don't know what per capita means. Like, it's people get very offended by statistics if you say anything about the Black community, anything about anything like that. I'm just like, this doesn't mean every literal person. It just means that there are statistical, like, things you can observe within groups of people. Like, I'm a single mom. There are very clear statistical things about single mothers and children of single mothers. Does that mean that it's necessarily going to be my reality? No, but it is statistically true if you look at single mothers as a whole. Why would I be offended by that? I don't even know if it applies to me or not. Why would you be offended if somebody said that Black men commit 53% of homicides? You didn't kill anyone. Like, why are you offended by this?
Yeah, it's like they say we have huge penises. It's true, but still, it's offensive.
I'm offended. That's very racist. Yeah, yes. The racism the Asians have, right? Like, oh my God, like, you say we're good at math. You say we're smart and make lots of money. That's racist. And I'm just like, I love when people, it's white privilege. When it's Asians, it's racism. And I'm like, literally everything people say about Asians is positive. Like, there's like the odd thing, like, they can't drive and they have squinty eyes. And with white people, it's like, they ruin the entire planet. They're evil. They're literally Hitler. And I'm like, but everything else about Asian people is just like, I wish that white people as a group were like called that most of the time.
Yeah,
it's like wow, so smart and intelligent, and they do so well, and they're so well integrated, and they have such culture at the same time, and everyone's just like fawning over Asians, and yet they're a victim of racism by white people. It's really incredible.
Yeah, and then you have the Indians, like, you assume we're good with technology, and we have funny movies. You bunch of racists.
Great accents and great hair.
And a lot of beautiful women.
Yeah, very true. And they are very offended by this for some reason.
Priyanka Chopra, call me.
Yeah. They like don't like people. I don't know. It's like and this is the only small portion that I agree with some of the alt-right types on, is that it's not really about like any sort of, you know, discernible privilege hierarchy. It's literally just about hating white people, because if it really was about who's doing the best, it's obviously not white people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's obviously not white people. Asians do very well. Jews do very well. Well, they hate Jews too, but Indians do very well. It's clearly about more than just that. It's like they just want to scapegoat white people as evil for some dumb reason. Oh my gosh, who was calling me? Sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's already, I'm gonna have to head out in a minute because.
Yeah. Well, good thing we're on our last topic.
Yes. Sorry, my
It's the
phone.
one. It's the one you were happy about.
Oh God, what was that? I forget what I said.
Why do you think feminism seems to be so desperate to leave the tenets of femininity behind?
Oh God, I wish I had a quick answer. I think that a large part of it, I think, is the kind of interest in destroying the family that is very, very important to anybody who wants more government control, right? Because if you take away families' abilities to actually sustain themselves, then it's a lot easier to step in with the welfare state and things like that and be like, look, we can help you. You don't need no man. You have the government, you know? So I think that's part of it. But I definitely like, it's kind of weird to me because it's just not something I understand. I've always liked being a woman. I've always, you know, really like taken pride in things that women can do very well and very much better than men. And I don't see why it has to be an inferior thing just because it's different. I don't buy into that.
Yeah.
And it's also this kind of like, I think the main reason too is that you have to think throughout history. Women would not have wanted to trade places with men, right? Because through history, as much as they claim how women were oppressed, it's really not true in most senses. Are there individuals who, you know, treated their wives as, you know, as kind of objects or like children in a way? Of course there were, but there was also, you know, a cost to that. You know, this, you know, if you ask any woman from 500 years ago if she would rather do her day-to-day job or do her husband's day-to-day job, I guarantee you 99% of them would choose her job because it's a lot more fun to be in your house and like have to do all kinds of shitty work and do laundry and make cheese by hand and take care of 20 kids. But it's a lot worse to have to, you know, go to war and die, to work in a, you know, a sawmill with no safety equipment. You know, there's just throughout history, clear who's dying, right? And it wasn't women. Men have always, you know, died in wars, died in work, died in, you know, it's they always take the biggest risks. So then I think what happened in the kind of post-industrial revolution is they realized that in many instances, trading in this kind of brief period where things kind of shifted due to modern technology that we never had until now, people kind of, I think women kind of looked and were like, wow, trading with men might be trading up. You know, they saw, look at all the freedom he has in the workforce and to do what he wants. And there was a period, you know, and you look at that in the, you know, the late 1800s, early 1900s, where, yeah, there was a lot of sexism because we did now have the technology for women to kind of take part in a lot of these roles. And there were a lot of men who were not ready to allow them into those roles for whatever sexist reasons. But this idea that that brief period of history proves that women have been oppressed for all time is utterly retarded. And it's I wouldn't even call that oppression, right? It's just, it was a shifting time based on technology. So now I think now we want to, they want to reject femininity because they were having to stay home while their husbands had to, you know, have a lot more freedom and a lot more leeway and the sexual revolution and all that stuff. And I think a lot of women my age and younger are starting to wake up to this because I think a lot of them are seeing, wait a second, it blows working 40 hours a week, raising kids, being married, not ever having time to do anything, being expected to be like, literally like an average woman is expected to work 40 hours a week, take care of her kids, take care of her house, cook dinner, be a good wife, stay in shape, look nice, like have friends, have hobby. I can tell you, like I am a stay-at-home mom. I work from home. It is still like, I'm sold I'm a single mother, but it is hard and it is not fun. And especially the single motherhood, like whenever feminists push like single mother is this great thing, I'm like, you are full of shit. Like, do not encourage women to do this. Being a single mom sucks. It absolutely sucks. It's not what I want to do with the rest. I'm hopefully not gonna be my forever, but it's not what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Well, hey, you're pulling it off very well. I mean, think about it. You work for 3 different news sources. You're putting out content.
I'm always behind on everything. It's something, and like it was easier when my son was little, and now he's like 2, and trying to do anything with him around is just like impossible. super hard.
Yeah, that's why I find funny in reference to the sexual revolution because like you said, they're rejecting it. They're not trying to look more feminine, trying to be this weird androgyny, like Freddie Mercury in his Queen days. Like they're trying to look half man, half woman. It's like it's weird, and it doesn't something that resonates with most women, you know. Yeah. I think
a lot of women just want to, you know, well, I also, my kind of theory as well with the kind of trend towards androgyny that a lot of these feminist types have as well, is that a lot of them, you have to look at their, if you live a life where you believe the narrative that there's a rapist behind every tree, you're going to, on some level, whether consciously or unconsciously, wish to make yourself less attractive to men.
Yeah.
Anything that is associated with typical beauty, you're going to want to look fat, you're going to want to have short hair, you're going to want to do all these things to kind of drag away from what men typically find attractive. And I don't think it's necessarily conscious, but I think a lot of them do that, right? Because they have this ridiculous fear of men that is not borne out in any of the statistics. And it's a really shitty way to live.
Yeah. And then they want Ryan Gosling to marry them and have babies with them, but it's like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying people have the right to do what they want. You know, if you want to be fat and happy, go for it. But to push it on people and to push it on especially younger women, I really have a hatred for these older feminist women pushing on younger women. Oh, don't worry about kids, just have a career, and, you know, don't do this and be fat. And it's like, you know what? I would hate to think where I would be if I woke up at 30, was obese, didn't have a husband, and had no children, because I was convinced in this stupid ideology that, you know, making my life as difficult as possible to achieve what would be my long-term goal because of, you know, feminist bullshit. Most women want to have a family. Feminists have tried to erase this out of us, but it is what most women want. And I think it's a crime to encourage young women in a way that would make it very hard to achieve that later in life, because realistically, there is an age where you can't have children anymore. And there is an age where the health problems are increased. And I find it really upsetting. And I really hope that my one sister doesn't fall to that, but we'll see.
I mean, yeah, but it's like, and that's the funny thing. And I think I don't want to blame men, but here's the thing. It's a fact of being a man. We are not picky.
No.
If you have a bit here, and if you have a chubby a bit here, or you have a gap in your teeth, we don't care. And I think that's why they get in with these male feminists who, guys, I hate to be that dude that says this, but grow a pair. Have some self-respect.
Yep.
Hit the gym, and you will meet a nice girl who you will wonder every morning you wake up, and you will believe it. This woman is in my bed. Okay, I'm good. Life complete. And then it's like, and the feminists get on these slides, because then men because they don't want to seem like jerks. They want to be nice to women. So they're like, okay, she may be 300 pounds, but she probably has a great personality. She may call me a rapist every 5 seconds, but hey, at least I'm getting laid.
Which is just, yeah, no, it's not going to attract.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a nice way to end off. We started with Nazis, now we're at
and what really?
Yeah,
kind of.
Well, this has been fun. I have been out of sync all week, and this has been the highlight of my week. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much for having me. No, it's always nice to sit down and chat and meet new friends. So hopefully we'll get to again. Definitely stay in touch.
Yeah, and also, if you want, I will send you a video, a copy of this, so you can post it on your channel.
Perfect.
And my boss will always be like, "Can you just put the site link in the description?"
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Oh yeah. So this is Bay of the Echelon Files with the always fun Stefanie MacWilliams. Tune in on the 4th, where we have 3 back-to-back episodes with guests like Lucy Brown from Rebel Media, Hunter Avalone, and Pardez Silla. I really hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Yeah, I need to get her on the show too. That's a reminder. Awesome.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye.
All right.